December 2017, you are standing in a Toys R Us checkout line. Cart loaded, receipt printing, the store is packed. The shelves are full, the ads are everywhere. Nothing looks wrong. That receipt in your hand, dated December 2017, is from a company that still had hundreds of stores open, millions of customers walking in, and a brand that every kid in America recognized on sight. The parking lots were full. The lights were on, the registers were ringing. 9 weeks later, every single one of those stores was gone. Not struggling, not downsizing, gone. Padlocked, stripped bare, 33,000 people showed up to work one day and were told the company was liquidating. No warning, no severance, nothing. The story you were sold went like this. Amazon killed Toys R Us. Online shopping ate the toy business. A great American brand simply could not keep up with the future. It is a clean story. It is also wrong. Here is the part that does not fit that story. In the years before the bankruptcy, Toys R Us was still generating cash. It was still profitable at the store level. One former executive, quoted in a Harvard Business School case study published in 2019, put it this way: we were profitable. We had positive cash flow, but we couldn't service the debt. That word debt is where this story actually begins. In 2005, 3 investment firms took Toys R Us private in a $6 billion deal. From that moment forward, the company was not a toy retailer anymore. It was a financial instrument. The clock was already running. By the end of this video, you will see the exact court filing that shows where the money actually went and why the people who destroyed Toys R Us walked away richer than when they started. Here's the story everyone agreed on. Amazon showed up, parents started ordering toys online. Toys R Us, a brick-and-mortar dinosaur, couldn't compete, the stores emptied. The company died, inevitable, tragic. Maybe, but inevitable. That explanation spread from newsroom to newsroom until it became the official version of events. The numbers don't work. In 2017, the year Toys R Us filed for bankruptcy, Amazon held 8% of the U.S. toy market, according to Euromonitor International's retail tracking data. 8%, Walmart, Target, and mass market retailers held the rest. E-commerce was growing, but it had not swallowed the toy aisle. Not even close. And here is the detail that should stop you cold. Lego opened more than 30 new retail stores between 2012 and 2017. Target expanded its toy section. Five Below built an entire business model partly on cheap toys during this same period. These companies faced identical competitive pressure. Identical Amazon, identical e-commerce growth curve. They did not go bankrupt. So the Amazon explanation is not an explanation at all. It is an alibi. Run the actual financials from Toys R Us's own disclosures and a different story emerges. The company's gross margins, the money left after buying the toys it sold, were 30% throughout the mid-2010s. Operationally, the stores were generating cash. An anonymous Toys R Us executive, quoted in a Harvard Business School case study published in 2019, put it plainly: we were profitable. We had positive cash flow, but we couldn't service the debt. Profitable, positive cash flow, bankrupt. That sentence should not be possible. For a normal company, it isn't. But Toys R Us was not a normal company. Not since July 21, 2005. When KKR, Bain Capital, and Vornado Realty Trust completed a $6.6 billion leveraged buyout and took it private. Something was draining every dollar the stores generated. The balance sheet shows exactly what it was. And it had nothing to do with Amazon. Here is what actually happened in July 2005. KKR, Bain Capital, and Vornado Realty Trust paid $6 billion to buy Toys R Us. But they did not pay it themselves. Not really, they borrowed most of it and then placed that debt directly onto Toys R Us's own balance sheet. The company bought itself and then owed the bill. This is the mechanics of a leveraged buyout. The acquiring firms put in a portion of equity. Banks provide the rest. The target company becomes responsible for repaying loans it had no part in negotiating. Before July 21, 2005, Toys R Us carried manageable debt. After that single day, it owed $3 billion in long-term obligations it did not have the morning before. The weight of that number is hard to visualize. So try this every year. Before Toys R Us bought a single toy, before it paid a single employee, before it turned on a single store light, it owed hundreds of millions of dollars in interest payments. Mandatory, contractual, inescapable. Here's where the story shifts. Toys R Us was not a failing business in 2005. It was generating revenue. The stores were busy. The brand was still the dominant name in specialty toy retail. Eileen Appelbaum, economist at the Center for Economic and Policy Research, testified before the House Financial Services Committee in November 2019 that the company's demise, quote, was not the result of Amazon or other online retailers, but rather the result of the financial engineering that left it with unsustainable debt. A former Toys R Us executive, quoted in a Harvard Business School case study published in 2019, put it even more plainly. We were profitable, we had positive cash flow, but we couldn't service the debt. Profitable, positive cash flow, bankrupt anyway. That is not a market failure. That is a structural one. So the real question is not whether the company could generate cash. It clearly could. The question is where that cash went and who was collecting it while the debt clock ran. That answer is in the bankruptcy filing. And it changes everything. Here is the number that changes everything. $400 million every single year. Not sometimes, not in bad years. Every year from 2005 through 2017. Toys R Us owed at least $400 million in interest payments before it spent a single dollar on anything else. The company's own SEC filings confirm it. The annual reports filed between 2006 and 2013, before the company stopped filing publicly, show interest expense consuming between 80% and 100% of operating cash flow in most years. The business was generating money. The money was already gone before it arrived. Think about what that means operationally. A competitor wants to remodel its stores. It uses cash. A competitor wants to build a website that actually works. It uses cash. Toys R Us wanted to do both. It had no cash, the debt had it. Meanwhile, the three firms that engineered this structure, KKR, Bain Capital, and Vornado, were not waiting alongside the company. They were collecting bankruptcy court records from case No. 17-34665 in the Eastern District of Virginia document at least $470 million in management fees, advisory fees, and dividend recapitalizations extracted from Toys R Us between 2005 and 2017. Eileen Appelbaum, testifying before the House Financial Services Committee in November 2019, put it plainly, the company's demise was not the result of Amazon or other online retailers, but rather the result of the financial engineering that left it with unsustainable debt. An anonymous executive quoted in the Harvard Business School case study on the bankruptcy said it even more directly. We were profitable, we had positive cash flow, but we couldn't service the debt. Profitable, cash flow positive, bankrupt anyway. On September 19, 2017, Toys R Us filed for Chapter 11 protection, listing $5.2 billion in liabilities. The stores were still open. The shelves were still stocked. The receipts were still printing. The PE firms had already been paid. So here is the question the next chapter has to answer. If the filing itself names debt service as the primary cause, not Amazon, not e-commerce, not consumer behavior, then why did 33,000 workers lose everything while the firms that built the debt walked away whole? Here is the document that ends the argument. Toys R Us bankruptcy petition. Case number 17-34665, filed in the Eastern District of Virginia. September 19, 2017, not a news article. Not an analyst's opinion, the company's own sworn legal filing. And in that filing, under the section identifying primary causes of the bankruptcy, the words are not e-commerce competition. The words are significant debt service obligations. Between 2005 and 2017, Toys R Us paid $7.9 billion in total debt service costs. That is not a rounding error. That is every dollar the stores earned, routed directly to the debt that KKR, Bain Capital and Vornado had placed on the company's balance sheet the day they bought it. While those payments were leaving, something else was arriving. According to reporting by Josh Kosman at the New York Post and testimony by economist Eileen Appelbaum before the House Financial Services Committee in November 2019. The three firms collected at least $470 million in management fees and dividend recapitalizations from the same company they were simultaneously burying in debt. Appelbaum said it plainly under oath. The company's demise was not the result of Amazon or other online retailers, but rather the result of the financial engineering that left it with unsustainable debt. A former Toys R Us executive, quoted in a Harvard Business School case study published in 2019, put it more simply, we were profitable. We had positive cash flow, but we couldn't service the debt. 33,000 workers lost their jobs in March 2018. They received zero severance, not reduced severance. Zero. KKR and Bain eventually contributed $20 million to a hardship fund in November 2018. After public pressure made silence costly, $20 million split across 33,000 people. After extracting $470 million from the company those people built, the PE firms lost nothing on the deal structure itself. The legal separation between the acquisition vehicle and their own balance sheets held perfectly. The architecture worked exactly as designed. The receipt from December 2017 was real. The pack store, the full shelves, the working registers, the company behind it was already gone. The debt had made survival mathematically impossible 12 years earlier. On the afternoon the buyout closed. When a headline announces that a private equity firm has acquired a beloved retail brand and plans to unlock its long-term potential, you now know what that language can mean in practice. Find the debt load, find the management fees. Find the ratio of debt service to operating cash flow. The filing will tell you everything the press release will not. If this changed how you see the world, subscribe, a new fact-driven episode every day.